We're live for, I guess, the last 30 seconds. Welcome to Creating Refuge. I'm Tabitha. Glad to have you here. I don't know what was up with our technical difficulties. Things are a little, we've had electrical storms, unlike anything I've ever seen in my lifetime. And we're currently under a flood watch. So that probably had a little to do with that. But please say hi if you're in the chat. Love to know where you are from. Today we're doing a couple things. Reading my latest Substacks and reading out of my books like Cheese Astrology and Creative Divination, Read Tea Leaves and Develop Your Personal Code. And I also want to share one of the poems from my upcoming debut poetry collection, Alert the Oracle. And there's a treat for everyone at the end. If you've been participating in the chat at the end, we're going to do one card tarot pulls for you. So let's begin. One of my recent, the last of my second to last Substack post, come on a writing road trip. Declare independence from boredom. A 3-part road trip of writing ideas begins. It's almost July. Well, no, it is. And there are a number of wildly worthwhile Substack wordsmiths slinging their monthly poetry prompts. Here's another potpourri of poetry prompts. Take what you like and leave the rest. Now, I had asked in a note to my subscribers, do you want to see, and I asked in our free sub chat, do you want to see a monthly collection of poetry prompts? Or is that something that we just don't need to see anymore? And it sounded like folks wanted that, especially in the sub chat. And I got a good suggestion to also include a revision tip. So you'll hear that later on. Here's 6 little word sets. Write a poem using these phrases. They can act as a title and a line, be used repeatedly, or you can try to use them in your last stanza. Those word sets are: hold these truths, we the people, in order to form unforgettable jokes, glass feet across the street. So example, this is a poetry form called a golden shovel, and you'll see how one phrase was used to end the line. It was divided up to end the line. We dance in the kitchen and hold our breaths, learning and revising these choreographed steps to life and truths. And thanks to recent live stream guest Alex Cyril for the phrases glass feet and across the street. So here's something new from Cheese Astrology, a weekly guide. This is a prompt adapted from the book. And that is to write a poem that explores the archetype of something new. It's something new in here. There you go. The Cambozola, something new. You can start with the magical use for Cambozola. And that's the Cheese Astrology entry for July 3rd to July 10th. So still applicable. And that is the magical use of this. Take yourself out of a rut and uplift yourself with self-care and open yourself to unconventional experience. So here's ideas. What does that mean? Take a walk in the neighborhood next to yours. Observe 3 new things. Write a poem about that. Or imagine and describe the new life you would have if you lived in a different part of the world. Use as many of the 5 senses as you can. And then a third idea is to listen to I'll Try Something New by The Temptations and the Supremes for inspiration. This is a song I really loved growing up in my teenage years, and that's linked to in that article on Substack. So you're welcome to write from a critical space or write the opposite, something old. You can get deeper into a rut or, a rut, huh? You could hear that in my voice. Get deeper into a rut or write an ode to ruts. If you are trying to love chat with me, I am not seeing anything on the live chat, so I don't know if you want to bounce out and bounce back in. So here's another inspiration from my first book, Creative Divination, Read Tea Leaves, Develop Your Personal Code. Write to develop your personal code. This is part 1 of 3 because it's adapted from the first exercise, which is a bit long. And it just made sense to break it up. And I'll read from the introduction maybe right after this article. So here's that exercise. And it was a perfect way of making this whole thing into a road trip. So begin a mental road trip. So this is 1 of 3 parts. We'll finish this first exercise from my book over the next 2 months, in case that wasn't clear. So the first, or as close as possible to the first Sunday of the month, you'll see another installment of this potpourri of poetry prompts. Get comfortable. Imagine you are preparing for a road trip that will last into the night or longer. List in your mind all the items you want with you. What food and drinks do you need? What will provide you comfort and support? How will you stay alert and entertained? Finally, who do you want with you, and what type of transportation are you using? Imagine packing all of that up. You can also imagine attempting this prompt or meditation in the reverse. This is a fun idea I had while revising. I'd love to hear from fellow Substack authors about the process of revising your pieces before they go live. You could write an unplanned escapade. So in this case, you would pack up your friend into the most convenient mode of transportation. Then you would learn how to stay entertained on the way. See how it's going backwards. Then you adjust for comfort on the fly. Finally, you make a pit stop for snacks. Snacks are the last thing on your mind, right? Here's the revision idea we had promised at the beginning. Pick a poem of your own to revise. Read it out loud. Underline any words that feel off. Watch closely for homonyms, words that sound the same. Back to old grammar, right? There, as in the conjunction they are, can sound like there is the possessive, or there, like over there. Consider your use of it within your poem. And my example is a poem I wrote in June called Below Expectations, which I have also right there for y'all. She missed 2 lunar fairs, needed 14 good tomato plants, and gave away more than 20 surplus seedlings. Her own extra are not enough. She failed by the dozen. Her heirlooms flopped in cocoa core. Didn't establish tools worthy of commitment. She offers goal guidance on Substack, but maybe they're writing prompts in disguise. Maybe the problem all along wasn't the medium. Maybe it was the marketing. So I changed there to they are after doing this revision, and I feel it gave this statement in the last part of the poem some breathing room. Not only that, it slows the reader at a pivotal point, making us consider what it is we're really doing when we're offering anything on social media or Substack. Hint, we could give others things to write about. We highlighted that part in orange, and maybe that wasn't such a good move because it's difficult for me to read just now. Bonus, that revised line lines up more tidily with the one above it. So that was a really nice touch. Aesthetics are good to keep in mind in our poems. Why eliminate homonyms? Well, they might be an intentional tool, and dipping into any playlist, musical playlist, can also remind writers about word choices. It just so happened that when I was revising this, my partner was playing some songs, and the song Ready to Go by Republica, it was back in the 80s or 70s maybe, starts with a beautiful lyric that sounds like Wendigo. Probably only an issue for a cryptid lover like me. And then the Ketchup song by Las Ketchup would have easily, or could have easily been the Catch Up song. Like, I'm behind and I've got to catch up. Particularly if you don't know the artist, you may not know that the Ketchup song was about a condiment. So I hope you found the collection of ideas for your poems useful. And if you want a private reading, I also do private tarot and tea leaf readings. It's a great way to unfold creative ideas. So I link to where to do that on both my last articles. The upcoming Substack Live, you're looking at it right now. I'm also going to be performing some poetry at the New York City Poetry Festival on July 19th. And then I've got some other events in my latest essays. So you can tell we've been referring to this book for a hot minute in our lives. This is the first book I published. Very excited to share some of it with you for the first time here on Substack Live. This is the introduction. I'll read maybe a couple pages and save a little for later. We do want to get to the tarot card pulls for y'all at the end. Coworker, she tells people's futures. Me, I wouldn't go that far. People's futures are their own. Introduction to creative divination. Developing divination skills and creativity is like hosting a pretend tea party. They involve flexibility and openness. For me, the idea of creative divination is about welcoming trusted friends to the table, but saving a seat for surprise guests. As you create or divine, using your divination tools, so you divine, your best tools are your imagination and ability to cast aside all your preconceived notions. What is divination? It is related to fortune telling, best arguably more as an exercise in reflection and self-improvement. A diviner uses their tools like cards, crystals, runes, tea leaves, and more to understand their surroundings and perceive one version of a clear and a destined future. Present as well. A willingness to sit still and yet giggle freely with first responses is the sort of approach that resonates in this book. Maybe you had intentions of reading tea leaves, but your imagination was sparked by the experience, and now that pirate ship that you saw in the bottom of your cup has you doing an art project or writing a poem. This is a perfect example of creative divination. Run wild. That's my hope for this book. That's my hope as a Substack creator. And then I want to emphasize this last paragraph, and then I think we'll move on due to time. Psychics or diviners are creative people, both known to see and interpret situations with vision that may puzzle others, may or may not always know the rules of their discipline or heed them. This book encourages everyone to break rules, to explore, to ponder, to create. This is not a dictionary of tea leaf symbols or a step-by-step instruction manual for the art of tea leaf reading, also known as tasseomancy. So yeah, my goal in it was to get people to stretch their imaginations, to be able to reflect more on their lives. And there's 79 exercises throughout. Woo! And bookmarks that pop out at random. So that's what the tea leaves book is in kind of a nutshell. My latest book came out last year. The first book came out in 2018, so this is 7 years later. We've got Cheese Astrology. I'm going to talk at depth about this book in my live on the 14th of July, and also tomorrow's live, we're going to focus specifically on evolution of publishing a book. Our guest will be Circa. Give me one moment. No, I thought I had an option to do something with the live chat. Again, if you're putting anything in the live chat, I'm not seeing any messages pop up. So hopefully, it might be a Mercury retrograde thing. Let's look at what the magic dates are for us right now within Cheese Astrology book. So, the magic dates resource in this section can be enjoyed however you wish during bigger astrological moments such as Saturn return, Venus retrograde, Mars retrograde, and Mercury retrograde. You're welcome to explore the entries in extra helpings for your own cheese magic. I could find the Mercury retrograde piece as well. Note, you can always enhance your cheese magic. Yes, you can do cheese magic by writing the following on a cheese of your choosing into that cheese or with the cheese crumbles that suit your purpose. Things like names, intentions, blessings, and or sigils that can represent what you wish to bless or banish. Good tools for doing so include your athame or cheese knife, honey, or balsamic vinegar. All right, so we are currently around the 4th of July. June 26th was the last one. The football club. Ooh, that makes sense we've got the World Cup right now, right? So June 26th, thanks to the football club Simsales, I don't think that's pronounced right. It's Switzerland. Is Fondue World Record Day. They created the largest fondue set for their club's 75th anniversary in 2010. Celebrate fondue and your highest achievements on this day, especially victories won with the help of those on your team. And collaboration is a big thing. If you watched or can watch the replay of the live stream I did with our friend Alicia, who talked about Mercury in retrograde. This particular Mercury in retrograde starts in Cancer, it goes through Leo. There's a lot to do with collaboration in this period and chunk of time in the next few months ahead. So I love that popped up there too. Who's on our team? Great question. That's a noteworthy little tidbit for Substack, right? All right, so we have Saturn return and Venus return here. And Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde, which started on June 29th. Yes. And ends July 23rd, I want to say. It gets a lot of blame for any possible snags, personal defects, and general crankiness that surfaces from time to time between humans. The planet Mercury rules communication, commerce, and details. So I call it the unbound cheese, right? And I put every cheese sign, so this is divided up into decans, which are weeks versus just the 12 main astrological signs. But for Mercury retrograde, I paired it with the mozzarella sticks, the most adventurous cheese. Look at it go! Easily transportable. This classic candy snacks commonly found in lunchboxes, parks, and the great outdoors. A classic favorite appetizer or Italian-inspired nosh, mozzarella sticks are fit to be baked, fried, and relished with marinara ranch or another savory sauce on the side. So I think it's interesting because when I've shared this content with others, and they're just looking at, oh, mozzarella sticks, how nice. They go to the idea of breaded and fried mozzarella, where I grew up with mozzarella sticks could also mean the peel, pull apart cheese sticks that you can throw in your lunch boxes. And so I tried to explain that and make it clear in that paragraph, but that confusion still gets picked up, right? I keep hearing thunder, so I'm like a little distracted, forgive me. And then after we finish this page, I will share a poem, and then we will do our tarot card pulls. So please engage in chat so that I know that you're staying for that and you are here for that. So if you're here for tarot card pulls, please let me know. All right, here's the flavorful observation of mozzarella sticks. They can, like the god Mercury, remember, our planets are named after the Roman gods, seem to have some strings attached. So Mercury, he's a trickster, right? Seasoned, breaded, and freshly fried with a good dipping sauce, your taste buds transport you So good, you may get the impression you've died and gone to the next chapter of your life, as if Mercury himself took you safely to the underworld. Affirmation: I smartly take my time. I repeat that. I smartly take my time. I am comfortable with my freedom of the unexpected. I retrace my steps. I accept loss. I mindfully watch my words. Do backup information right now. Good to do. You've probably heard that advice already. Do tasks involving tasks involving agreements and commerce can probably wait. Slow down information input and output. Above all, take everything gracefully. And don't let anything cramp your style. Resist giving too much of your mental space to frustration or worries. Always good advice, right? Oh, we are moving around. Don't sweat those details you cannot control, and slow down, especially when it comes to interactions with others and conducting business. Magical use. Get back on your feet when life's had you down. And a recipe to use to embrace Mercury retrograde: sticks and stones. Mozzarella sticks, dried apricot, dried fig, and salami are your sticks and stones. A recipe to use to find peace during Mercury retrograde: baked in. So we learned this from some chefs out there. Instead of mozzarella shreds or fresh mozzarella, the lack of moisture found in cheese sticks makes it preferable for some professional at-home cooks to use in baking. So you could create a pizza or a casserole that calls for mozzarella, but use slices of the cheese sticks, and you can cut them with scissors, kitchen scissors. That's actually recommended. I love using my kitchen scissors. I don't know about y'all, but so that's Cheese Astrology, a weekly guide. I'll just briefly read my bio since it's the most updated one for a published book, and then we'll do our single poem. Tabitha Dial wants everyone to create their fate. She loves to crack, cut, and wrap Parmesan Reggiano, but hung up her cheesemonger apron, after 12 years. Her favorite cheeses include Roquefort and Pecorino Romano. Her everlasting goal is spreading inspiration. I love that still fits. Okay, so we are going to share this poem from Alert the Oracle, my debut poetry book that's going to come out next year. We don't have a pub date yet. We're still figuring out the image. Possibly that will be part of a cover image. Who's to say yet? It's between my publisher and I, and there's plenty of beautiful paintings in this house. So lucky to choose from. This poem is called Green Soup, and I'm shaking. It's just become such an important part of who I am as a poet and who I am as a daughter. We'll leave it there. Green Soup, Halloween night 2020. From a quiet keeping space, I promise my mother ghost to create meals and music, even if from dry bones and tangled memories. My vow as I unstem kale and spinach, add it to the copper-lined pot with green onion, cilantro, Yukon Golds, and snap peas. Remember when I made your favorite soup last year? I caramelized the onions and recall that patient pot. I've spent almost 2 hours at the stove. There's only a little more. The garlic and ginger sizzle in the pan, then slide into the pot. Another 10 minutes. I add the broth, taste. I follow the recipe, as one day I'll follow you. Blend in batches, return to pot, simmer. Flavor with lemon juice, white vinegar, salt, pepper, cumin, chili powder, and the sound of your name. All right, and I'm going to give just a moment. thank you for listening to everything. I look forward to hearing what captured people's imagination, what maybe didn't, what folks might want more of or less of. I'm here to help create our community. And again, spreading inspiration is my ultimate cheese goal. I am going to draw a card just for the replay, just for now, just for today. Make sure there's no stray cards in there. And we'll do this. Again, private readings are available, and I hope to see you there for one. My testimonials have been having so much fun putting fresh testimonials together, and it's my duty, it's my sworn duty, it's my small goal. Like, we talk a lot about small goals here on Creating Refuge, especially for poets and other creators. My small goal right now is to finish up making those testimonial images and putting them up on my About Me page and publishing them as notes, sharing them so folks can understand a little bit more about, because this is like tarot reading comes off as so mysterious. Tea leaf reading even more so. So, hey, I'm getting good content just like sitting here and talking to y'all about this. Good content ideas, right? Kind of maybe demystify those things a little for Substack readers. All right. Here's our tarot deck. I've been shuffling it, but I like to set the intention and stop my feet to kind of get grounded and let off any nervous energy or weird feelings out there, and begin by asking that higher power, the universe, and ancestors guide our reading, offer clear insight, and help anyone receiving this one card tarot pull do with the information as is appropriate at this time. We ask with respect and gratitude for every day. All right, that does feel good. The first card on the top did want to just kind of pop out. We call them jumpers. What is this card? This is the King of Pentacles. Beautiful. So this card is an indicator that our sense of wealth and security is within our own grasp for us to be the authority over. So we are the ultimate authority over what it means for ourselves to feel secure and stable and well employed. Yes. Wealthy. Yes, that's part of it. But abundance and security can mean so many things. We can have an abundance of love in our lives. We can have an abundance of, I want to say things like good food, friendships, space. And sometimes, we can go off on a whole tangent about that. But there's so many things that we can have an abundance of. And I hope that this gives you a good sense of faith in yourself and a good feeling for yourself, because it should. This is a sure sign that you've followed the steps to your own maturity when it comes to your ideas around security, wealth, material goods, labor, and abundance. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. Tomorrow we are going to again we have our guest Circa Luca on board with us to talk about the evolution of publishing a book. So I look forward to sharing space with her and hearing from all y'all. Thank you so much, and create your refuge. Mwah. Take care.